You wake up when your body is ready. No alarm, no schedule, no phone screaming beside your head. You sit up, stretch, and ask yourself one question: what should I do today? For almost all of human history, this was not a dream. This was a normal morning. For roughly 300,000 years, humans lived without jobs. No salary, no boss, no office, no career ladder, no monthly rent that forced you out of bed before sunrise. There was still work, of course. Food had to be found, fire had to be kept alive, children had to be watched, tools had to be repaired, but nobody owned 8 hours of your day in exchange for survival. Today, a modern person may spend around 90,000 hours of life working. That is not just a job. That is a giant piece of your existence. So here's the strange question. Before jobs existed, what did humans actually do all day? Most people imagine ancient life as a nightmare. Hunger, fear, danger, and endless searching for food. And danger was real. A broken leg could kill you. A bad season could starve you. A predator at the wrong moment could end everything. But here is what most people miss. Survival did not always fill the whole day. In the 1960s, anthropologist Richard Lee studied the Jew/Hoansi people of the Kalahari. They were not prehistoric people, but their way of life helped researchers understand parts of hunter-gatherer existence before farming. Lee found something that shocked many people. Adults spent only a limited amount of time directly getting food, often around 15 to 20 hours per week, depending on the season and on how the counting was done. Not 40 hours, not 50. And this pattern appears in other hunter-gatherer groups too. The Hadza in Tanzania, the Aish in Paraguay, the Martu in Australia. Different continents, different environments, same uncomfortable idea. For many humans, survival was not a full-time job, but maybe that free time was miserable. Maybe people were just lying around exhausted, half-starved, and waiting to die. The bones suggest otherwise. When archaeologists compare many hunter-gatherer skeletons with early farming populations, the difference is often surprising. Early farmers were frequently shorter. Their teeth often had more cavities. Their bones show more signs of repetitive labor. Their diets became narrower, especially when grain took over. Farming produced more food in total, but it did not automatically produce healthier bodies. And this is where the story gets interesting, because if ancient humans were always desperate, one thing should barely exist: art. Inside Chauvet Cave in France, people painted animals more than 30,000 years ago. Horses, lions, rhinos, bodies moving across stone. Someone had to enter a dark cave with fire. Someone had to plan the image. Someone had to practice. Someone had to spend time on something that was not food, shelter, or defense. That matters, because art is what appears when survival is not taking every second. In South Africa, at Blombos Cave, archaeologists found ancient shell beads and symbolic objects. Tiny shells were collected, pierced, and probably worn or exchanged. Think about that. Someone walked, gathered shells, drilled holes, and made decoration. Not because jewelry helps you outrun a lion, because humans want to be seen. In Germany, researchers found ancient flutes carved from bone around 40,000 years old. Finger holes placed with intention, a tool made for sound, not hunting, not fighting. Music. These objects tell us something simple but powerful. When humans had time, they did not just sit like machines waiting for the next meal. They made beauty. They made identity. They made meaning. So imagine an ordinary day before jobs. You wake around dawn. The fire from last night is still smoking. Someone adds wood. Children move around. People eat leftover meat, fish, berries, nuts, roots, or whatever the group has. There is no morning meeting, no commute, no manager, just people deciding what the day needs. Maybe a small group leaves to gather plants. Maybe a few hunters follow tracks. Maybe someone searches for honey. Maybe nobody leaves because yesterday's hunt was successful and there is already food. That is the part modern people struggle to imagine. Not every day had to be maximized. If you stayed near camp, the day was still full. You might sharpen a spear, repair a tool, scrape an animal hide, weave a basket, carry water, watch children, or learn a skill from someone older. But this was not work in the modern sense. There was no clock, no supervisor, no one measuring your productivity. You made things because they mattered, because skill gave you value, and because being useful made you part of the group. If hunting happened, it was not always the wild movie scene we imagine. Humans are not fast compared to many animals. We have no claws, no fangs, no armor, but we have endurance. We sweat. We travel far. We read tracks. In hot places, some humans could follow an animal for hours until it became exhausted. A hunt could take half a day. Then came carrying, cutting, cooking, and sharing. And after that, something happened that feels almost illegal to modern people. The productive part of the day could be over. People rested. They sat in shade. They talked. They laughed. They played with children. They groomed each other, cleaning hair and skin, not only for hygiene, but for trust. They carved objects. They made beads. They napped. They watched the sky. Anthropologist James Sussman has written about how central social time is in Jew/Hoansi life. Talking, joking, visiting, sharing, and simply being together are not side activities. They are the system. In a world without money, police, written contracts, or insurance, relationships are survival. If people trust you, they share with you. If you are sick, they help you. If you are alone, you are in danger. So ancient humans invested time in each other, not because it looked productive, because it kept them alive. Then the sun went down, and the day changed again. Around the fire, conversations became different. Anthropologist Polly Wiesner studied firelight talk among the Jew/Hoansi and found that nighttime conversations often moved away from practical tasks and toward stories, myths, jokes, memories, distant people, and imagined worlds. Daytime talk was about what needed to be done. Nighttime talk was about what it meant to be human. The fire created a small circle of light inside the dark. In that circle, a child could learn an old story. A hunter could turn fear into laughter. An ancestor could return through words. Before books, the group remembered. Before cinema, fire made images move in the mind. Before schools, people taught through stories, and even sleep was different. Before artificial light became normal, many humans did not always sleep in one solid block. Historical records studied by Roger E. Kirch describe first sleep and second sleep. Experiments by Thomas Ware showed that when people experience long natural darkness, their sleep can divide into two phases. First sleep, a quiet waking period. Second sleep. That middle time was not automatically insomnia. People could pray, think, talk softly, remember dreams, or simply lie awake in the dark. So a human day may have looked something like this. A few hours finding food or making useful things, many hours with other people, stories around fire, sleep shaped by darkness, and long stretches of resting without guilt. Then, about 10,000 years ago, agriculture changed the bargain. Humans planted crops and domesticated animals. Food became more predictable. More children survived. Villages grew. But the trap was hidden inside the success. More food created more people. More people required more food. More food required more farming, planting, weeding, harvesting, grinding grain, guarding fields, storing crops, defending land. Once a group depended on farming, going back became almost impossible. There were too many mouths to feed. The old freedom narrowed. Then came specialists, taxes, soldiers, priests, administrators, cities, and eventually employment. The idea that your time can belong to someone else in exchange for survival. That is the world you inherited, not because humans were born for jobs, because the system became too large to escape. Today, you make art after work if you still have energy. Your ancestors made art because time was part of life. You exercise because your body is trapped in chairs. They moved because living required movement. You call doing nothing laziness. They may have called it afternoon. Of course, their world was not paradise. It was dangerous, fragile, and sometimes cruel. But ours is not paradise either. We gained medicine, safety, comfort, and longer lives. But we also traded away something ancient. Time that was not owned, rest that did not need permission, and a life that did not have to fit around a job. For 99% of human history, people did not need employment to have a life. Then we built a world where having a life became something you try to squeeze in after work. And most of us are too busy to notice what was lost.